Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you want may not be your circumstances, your luck, your boss, your family, your teachers, or even your abilities. It may be the way you respond when things go wrong. Because when life is going well, almost anyone can appear responsible. The real test begins when something fails. When your project misses its deadline. When your team makes a mistake. When you prepare for an exam and still get a disappointing result. When a business decision goes wrong. When someone you trusted lets you down. In those moments, there are two paths. The first path is easy. Find someone to blame. The second path is uncomfortable. Look at yourself and ask one simple question. What could I have done differently? That question can completely change the direction of your life. Welcome to Volume and Vision. Today we are exploring the powerful ideas behind Extreme Ownership, a book built around leadership, responsibility, discipline, teamwork, and the mindset required to perform when circumstances become difficult. But this is not only a story about soldiers or battlefields. It is a story about something much closer to home. You. Because leadership does not begin when somebody gives you a title. It begins when you take responsibility for what happens next. Think about a student who performs badly in an examination. He comes home and says the questions were difficult. Another student says the teacher did not explain the subject properly. Someone else says there was not enough time. And perhaps all of those explanations contain some truth. But imagine another student. Instead of spending the evening proving why the result was unfair, he sits down and asks himself, where did I fall short? Maybe he started studying too late. Maybe he spent too much time on easy chapters and avoided difficult ones. Maybe he never practiced under real examination conditions. Maybe he knew he was struggling but waited too long to ask for help. None of these thoughts can change yesterday. But they can change tomorrow. That is the power of ownership. Ownership does not mean pretending that every problem is your fault. It means refusing to believe that you are powerless. There is a huge difference. If everything is somebody else's fault, then your future depends on somebody else changing. But when you ask what can I do now, you take back control. This mindset becomes even more powerful when you are working with other people. Consider a software team preparing to release a new application. Months of work have gone into it. The launch finally arrives, and within hours, serious problems begin appearing. Customers cannot log in. Important features stop working. The company starts receiving complaints. Then the meeting begins. The developer blames the testing team. The testing team blames unclear requirements. The product manager blames the deadline. The manager blames senior leadership. Everyone has an explanation. Everyone has evidence. Everyone believes somebody else should answer for the failure. But after all the arguments, the application is still broken. Now imagine the team leader responds differently. Instead of asking who caused this, he asks what did I fail to do as the person responsible for this team. Perhaps he should have demanded better testing. Perhaps he should have made the requirements clearer. Perhaps he should have noticed that the schedule was unrealistic. Perhaps he should have created a system where problems were reported earlier. Suddenly, the meeting changes. The team is no longer fighting over blame. They are looking for solutions. That is one of the deepest lessons of ownership. Taking responsibility does not make you weaker. It gives you something blame can never give you: the ability to improve the situation. And there is another uncomfortable idea connected to this. When a team repeatedly performs badly, the easiest conclusion is that the people on the team are bad. But sometimes the real problem is the way the team is being led. Two groups can have similar talent, similar resources, and similar goals, yet produce completely different results. Why? Because leadership changes how people work. A good leader creates clarity. A good leader establishes priorities. A good leader communicates expectations. A good leader notices confusion before confusion becomes failure. And most importantly, a good leader does not simply complain about the weaknesses of the people around him. He asks how he can help those people become better. Imagine a team of 5 people. One is talented but inexperienced. Another works hard but lacks confidence. One is highly skilled but prefers working alone. Another is enthusiastic but constantly loses focus. And the 5th person is capable but has no idea what the team's actual objective is. A weak leader might say, "This is a terrible team." A stronger leader asks, "Does everyone understand the mission? Does everyone know what success looks like? Does every person understand their responsibility? Are the right people working together? Have I given them the information they need? Those questions require more courage because they turn the attention back toward the leader. And that is exactly why ownership is difficult. It forces you to examine the part of the problem that you can actually change. But responsibility alone is not enough. A team also needs belief. Imagine asking people to work toward a difficult goal while constantly showing them that you do not believe the goal can be achieved. You might say the right words. You might tell them to stay motivated. But people notice hesitation. They notice uncertainty. They notice when the person leading them does not truly believe in the mission. Belief does not mean pretending that everything will be easy. It means understanding why the objective matters and having enough confidence in the plan to move forward despite difficulty. Consider a small company entering a market dominated by much larger competitors. The team has fewer employees, less money, less experience, and almost no guarantee of success. The founder could spend every meeting talking about everything that might go wrong. Eventually the team would begin thinking defensively. People would stop taking risks. They would protect themselves instead of pursuing the objective. A better leader would acknowledge the difficulties honestly. Yes, the competition is stronger. Yes, resources are limited. Yes, there are serious risks. But here is what we are trying to achieve. Here is why it matters. Here is the strategy. Here is what each person must accomplish. That kind of belief creates direction. People do not need a leader who promises that failure is impossible. They need a leader who can look at difficulty and still say, "This is hard, but we have a plan and we are going to execute it." However, even a capable leader can destroy a good team through one hidden weakness. Ego is dangerous because it does not always look like arrogance. Sometimes it looks like refusing to ask for help. Sometimes it looks like becoming defensive when someone disagrees with you. Sometimes it looks like needing to receive credit for every success. And sometimes it looks like being unable to admit that your idea was wrong. Imagine a manager presenting a plan to her team. One employee notices a serious problem and politely points it out. Instead of listening, the manager becomes defensive. She feels challenged. She thinks accepting the criticism will make her look weak. So she rejects the idea. The employee stays quiet. The others notice. The next time somebody sees a problem, they also remain silent. Soon the manager believes everything is under control. But the team has stopped telling her the truth. This is what unchecked ego can do. It does not only damage the person who has it. It damages everyone around that person. Controlling ego does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means caring more about the mission than your pride. It means being willing to say, "I do not know." It means being able to hear criticism without immediately turning it into an attack. It means allowing someone younger, less experienced, or lower in the hierarchy to teach you something valuable. Because the goal is not to prove that you are the smartest person in the room. The goal is to make the room smarter. And once a team understands that, something powerful begins to happen. People start supporting one another. This is where teamwork becomes more than simply dividing tasks. Imagine 5 people carrying a heavy object. One person cannot carry it alone. Even if one member is stronger than everyone else, that person eventually reaches a limit. But when everyone coordinates their effort, the weight becomes manageable. The same principle applies to organizations. Your responsibility is not limited to finishing your own assignment. You also have a responsibility to help the people around you succeed. If you discover information that another person needs, share it. If a teammate is struggling with something you understand, help them. If another department is waiting for information from you, do not hide behind the sentence that it is not my job. A strong team is built when people understand that their individual responsibilities are connected. Your success affects my success. My failure can create a problem for you. And your success can make my job easier. This is why cooperation is not a soft idea. It is a performance advantage. But cooperation becomes difficult when nobody understands the objective. And that brings us to another powerful principle. Keep things simple. Under pressure, complicated plans become fragile. When everything is calm, a complicated strategy can look impressive. But when deadlines are approaching, people are tired, information is changing, and unexpected problems appear, it becomes dangerous. Think about someone who decides to completely transform their life. They create an enormous routine. Wake up before sunrise. Exercise for 2 hours. Read 50 pages. Study for 4 hours. Learn a new language. Learn programming. Meditate. Journal. Build a project. Work on a business. Sleep perfectly. And repeat everything every day. It sounds impressive, but a few days later, the entire routine collapses. The problem was not a lack of ambition. The problem was complexity. A simpler system might be much more powerful. Wake up at a consistent time. Complete the most important task first. Study the subject that matters most. Exercise regularly. Finish the essential work. Sleep properly. Then improve the system gradually. Simple does not mean careless. Simple means understandable. When a plan is simple, people know what matters. When people know what matters, they can act. And when action is clear, progress becomes much easier. This becomes especially important when several problems appear at the same time. Imagine that you are managing a project. The deadline is approaching. One employee is absent. A customer has complained. A technical issue has appeared. And another important task remains unfinished. Everything feels urgent. The natural reaction is to attack everything simultaneously. But that usually creates more confusion. Instead, stop. Identify the problem that can cause the greatest damage. Deal with that first. Stabilize the situation. Then move to the next problem. This is the principle of prioritizing and executing. You cannot give your full attention to 10 major problems at the same time. But you can identify the most important one. Solve it. Then continue. This principle is useful far beyond leadership. Think about your own life. You have unfinished studies, messages waiting for replies, a project you promised to complete, a fitness goal, financial responsibilities, family responsibilities, and dozens of small tasks. If you keep switching between all of them, you may remain busy all day without completing anything meaningful. Instead, ask yourself one question. What is the most important thing that needs my attention right now? Choose it, work on it, finish or stabilize it, then move forward. Because progress does not always come from doing more. Sometimes it comes from doing fewer things with greater focus. And that idea leads to another important question. What happens when the person at the top cannot personally make every decision? The answer is simple. They must develop people who can make decisions themselves. An organization becomes slow when every small decision has to pass through one person. Employees stop thinking independently. Small problems wait for approval. Opportunities disappear, and the leader becomes exhausted. Strong leadership creates capable people rather than dependent people. Give people a clear objective. Give them boundaries. Give them enough information. Then allow them to take responsibility within their area. This does not mean abandoning control. It means replacing constant supervision with clear ownership. When people understand the mission, they can make better decisions. When they understand their responsibilities, they become more confident. And when they know that they are trusted, they are more likely to act instead of waiting. This is how a group of individuals becomes a real team. And perhaps this is the most important shift of all. Leadership is not about making everyone dependent on you. It is about making the people around you capable enough that the mission can continue even when you are not there. Because a leader who must personally solve every problem has not created a strong team. He has created a system that cannot function without him. A truly strong leader creates clarity, develops people, shares responsibility, and builds a culture where everyone understands that their actions matter. And that brings us back to the beginning. When something goes wrong, you can search for someone to blame. Or you can search for something to improve. One path protects your ego. The other develops your character. One path gives you an excuse. The other gives you control. And every day, in small decisions that nobody else sees, you are choosing between those two paths. The choice is yours. This is Volume and Vision. If you found value in this journey, subscribe to Volume and Vision for more thoughtful book-based lessons on leadership, discipline, personal growth, and success. And remember, you may not control every problem that enters your life. But you can control your response. Take responsibility. Learn from failure. Help the people around you. Simplify what you can. Focus on what matters most. Make the decision. And keep moving forward. Because real leadership does not begin when people start following you. It begins when you become someone you can trust to lead yourself.